Coming to you from Orange County, California, this is the JuggLife podcast with Max Ada and Chad Wesley Smith.
I think what we have to do first is make some kind of criteria. Because people always want to make up just their own shit. Criteria number one has to be that it was in
a meet.
Yes, it's competition. It's things related to the competition.
Sport.
Yes.
The word sport applies there because you have to actually have done it in a competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's criteria, most important criteria for sure. Then that's sort of the historical significance of it.
I can agree with that.
This belt is very uncomfortable on my hips. Childbearing hips. Let's just start with the one that's most apparent. It just finished happening.
Oh,
We had incredibly accurate predictions.
extremely. We called the total right off the bat.
We did exactly right on the total. Before,
1,100 kilos for Thor.
yeah. And he's probably, I guess we're going in no specific order, but he's going to be number one. Sorry, Arnold Strongman champion, world's strongest man, Europe's strongest man, and the Dubai,
Yeah.
which I guess is a really big one. Now I'm not,
It seems like everything big is in Dubai now.
yeah.
Like, Dubai has all these huge competitions now, so.
They have a lot of money. I don't know if you've heard.
They just pump it out of the ground, right?
Yeah.
It's all tourism, though, now.
Oh yeah?
That's the big industry.
For people to go see all their money?
Strength tourism and CrossFit tourism. Yeah. I mean, we were off on the squat for sure by a couple kilos, and the 460 probably was good. Obviously, in the meet didn't count, but I mean, an old weightlifting coach once told me that the best, or a close miss is 2 red lights. So I would say 460 was basically there, but obviously in the meet didn't count. So 440, the 250 was for sure the most surprising part of that, though.
Yeah.
I did not expect the 250, but it was hard. I mean, it wasn't, it was a big lift for sure.
Yeah, our prediction had been 430, 240, 440.
440, yeah.
And he went 440, 250, 410.
Yeah.
So he got there a little bit different way than we predicted, but
Being that the total lift is the only one that matters,
It is.
I would say it was a pretty good call.
it was very strong
Pretty good
predictive
call.
abilities. And this goes to what we were talking about the other night.
Yeah.
No one ever lives up to expectations.
No, my dad's
Yeah.
been saying that to me for years.
But yeah, it's like, it was crazy as we got talking about it. Like, I mean, the Thor thing is so speculative because there's no other results to be based off of it.
Yeah.
But we even fell into the same trap ourselves when
Yeah.
we did the
The second, yeah.
445 training. They're like, oh, okay, change the prediction.
Yeah, he's going to do it way bigger.
Yeah. And everyone thinks, whether it's Thor or it's whoever your favorite lifter is, or people on our team, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if you're predicting numbers a year in the future, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, like everyone's always overshooting
Yeah.
those predictions.
Yeah.
And maybe it's, at least with people on our own team or people that you're fans of and stuff, it's like maybe it's bias, maybe it's a lack of, so maybe it's like a lack of objectivity in the predictions, but maybe it's just so
It's
hard.
wishful thinking too. It's
Yeah.
like, especially when it's your own lifter, you really want them, or you're a fan of them. It's like you really want them to do well. So
Yeah.
you're always thinking like, oh, this guy or girl is gonna fucking kill it at this meet, or whatever. And like, the time they do something right and it looks easy, especially in weightlifting, because if it looks easy, it's like, oh, you got 10 kilos more, but no, that's like the peak of your abilities, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I can see where it goes astray a lot. But it is kind of shocking we're talking about being like pretty much universal. It's like, have we found any one person that's like every time lived up to, or at any one time lived up to their absolute potential? They hit the absolute best they could do. There's probably some dude in like the fucking J session of the AO1 that's like fucking killed it and had 6 for 6 day, peak of his possible abilities, and that's it.
But yeah, when you really stop and think, in big competitions, the stuff that matters, how many times people go 9 for 9 or 6 for 6, you know, like they couldn't have done any more. That was the best they could have done. And maybe they have one lift like that, or 2 lifts like that even. But that really started to jump out to me, not this past US Open, but the one before, the first one that was like really big.
And the fairgrounds?
The fairgrounds one. That the end result became very underwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, it was Ben Pollock won, and
it just wasn't like because you're sitting there thinking like there's the hype, right?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh, okay, like these guys are all going to perform great, but the reality is that they all performed okay, but like there wasn't like 7 guys all having like the meat of their life.
Yeah.
You know? In a lot of cases, especially in powerlifting, it seems like a lot of cases, it's like this huge run up to it, and then somebody gets hurt like the day before the meet or a week out or whatever it is, and then it's kind of like some other guy walks away with it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think powerlifting too, for the bigger guys, adds that extra element of at least margin for error.
Yeah.
That the attempts, there's such bigger jumps between attempts that if you're taking a 30 kilo jump in the squat, well, if you would have taken 25 kilo jump, maybe you made it and it was this amazing day, but 30 wasn't quite right.
Oh, I feel especially terrible.
This is a pretty nice feeling piece of machinery here.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So we're definitely agreed that Thor. If we were giving like a JuggLife Man of the Year, Person of the Year type of award, Strength Sportsman Man of the Year. Who's the Strength Sportsman? It's got to be Thor.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So
Man.
1,100 kilo powerlifting total, 4 biggest strongman contests. That's pretty tough to beat.
Yeah.
Then what up for weightlifting? What do you think is the biggest? Is there really a standout individual?
The only standout performance I think for any weightlifter is Maradi, the Iranian in '94, broke the old. Well, no, wasn't that 17? He broke the snatch record in Anaheim. It's been so, time flies so fast. But he broke records and dominated again at Worlds this year. But I mean, no one else was like. Lasha was great, but it wasn't any better than last year. In fact, it was lower.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a,
Lasha is a victim of his own success.
Yeah.
In that regard, it's like, well, and that's like a frustrating thing as a fan.
Yeah.
As maybe a more savvy or experienced fan and someone who's been in doing those kind of really high numbers.
Yeah.
It's easy for a commenter on the internet to be like, oh, he had a shitty meet.
Yeah, and he actually did really big numbers.
Well, I'm sorry they only snatched 213 or what did he do? 217.
217.
So he only did 217 instead of 225.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
I heard someone talking about that in regards to boxing the other day.
Oh, really?
Like they were comparing like boxing and football. It's like, if you're the 5th best wide receiver in the NFL, everyone thinks like you're the fucking stud.
Right.
But if you're the 5th best heavyweight boxer in the world,
Yeah, you're
it's like, oh, that guy's a bum. you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, he's a nobody. He's
Yeah.
never going anywhere.
Yeah,
he's
'cause
number
he's
5.
not-
Number
yeah.
5 on the list.
Because he's not the champion.
In the immortal words of Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't think there was not really incredible standout individual performances in weightlifting.
There wasn't anything, yeah.
So the story, I think the story for weightlifting, maybe a good story and a bad story, or a good story and a gray area story, is going to be, what are they really doing with the drug testing stuff? Like, Ilya gets reinstated. Cool as a fan.
Yeah.
Of watching weightlifting for the next 2 years. Maybe not great as a fan of wanting to watch weightlifting for more than the next 2 years. Russia being reinstated.
Yeah.
Turkmenistan.
Lifting while they're still banned.
Yeah.
They had that 45, and that was like, the whole 45 kilo thing was like, girl misses lifts, turned down, judge, jury situation, then the next day gets the lift in the record, but
someone has a new golden barbell under their Christmas tree.
A Turkmenistan branded, like monogrammed, like case for it, a little mahogany box for the barbell. But that whole thing is just like total disregard for the sport and the future of it. And so that's that's the shitty side of it, obviously. The good side, weightlifting.
Well, at least interesting side. I mean, they did, the new weight classes, new Olympic qualification has got to be it's a significant story.
I wouldn't say it's good. Yeah, it's just a change.
They did a terrible job of picking the new weight classes, and
well, they had some great numbers at first.
Yeah,
there was a really cool one. Like the first couple that came out were good.
Yeah,
and then as soon as they're like, oh, this is gonna be it changes to the fucking shittiest numbers. It's like someone was like, the last minute was like, you know what? These are pretty good, but I'm going to fuck it up right now, and just changed everything a couple kilos and basically made the bizarrest classes you can get.
But you know what they did to make up for that? Was make a very straightforward, easy to understand, uncorruptible system for Olympic qualification.
Roby bucks?
Oh, wait. In fact, they made the shittiest, most convoluted, confusing system that no one... Does anyone understand it? Is there someone who has a PhD in weightlifting qualifying-ology? Because that's what you would fucking need
so bad
to know how one goes to the Olympics.
Right. Well, I wonder how much of that is influenced by whatever corrupt deal is going on to say, hey, we'll make some fucking system that you can exploit some way, shape, or form and get your people in, know. But I guess it's probably not that big a deal because the countries that are all in that vein, all the corrupt countries, they all have one spot anyways, and they're all good enough to make the teams, like to make the qualifying. So like, the Roby system is like just this bizarre, like, it totally reminds me of, Roby system reminds me of like when you like go to like a a Safeway or something, you get like the shopper's cards and it has like Roby bucks on it or something, and it's like this conversion to $1. It's valueless. First of all, it has no value outside of the IWF, so you can't use it to measure anything. It's just this like arbitrary number that's used to basically, cause confusion.
Yeah, street bucks and Stanley nickels.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the story you heard about the weight class?
I
selection?
heard that apparently when they voted on the weight classes, there was a deal where they basically like show up.
Emphasis on deal.
Yeah, they show up, they weigh in, or they show up, they have all this meeting at a competition, and then at the end they vote on this. Here's the numbers we're going to do based on the scientific committee. So the weight classes are set. Then out of nowhere, all these African coaches are there. All these other people are there to vote, and they all change their vote to change the weight classes. And the story I've heard is that Qatar basically paid these coaches to come and vote so that they could change the classes to something that was beneficial for Qatar, because they've got one really good 96 kilo, or he was 94 kilo lifter and they didn't want him excluded or to have to make him go up or down a weight class. So
that is interesting because they were so definitive about we're going to punish the 94s, which was fucking stupid anyways because it's not like corruption is unique to a body weight.
Only fat people commit crimes.
Yeah, they made all this big deal about how they're gonna punish the former 94 kilo competitors.
Yeah, the whole class is out of the Olympics. Somehow that makes it like that. Oh, we're not gonna have any 94 kilo drug cheats. Well, yes, you won't, but also that doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah, but they made all that public shit about how they were gonna do that. And they just didn't fucking do it. Unless in their mind somehow, the 89s, those are probably the guys who used to be the 94s.
It's the guys that are going up to 94. It's always the guys going up that are cheating. People that are coming down, it's not them.
Yeah, that whole thing is just so indicative
it's totally insane
of how business is done, IWF, IOC.
It's fucking sad because that's the kind of shit that that's really the kind of shit that ruins it. Where it's so what? So what? I mean, and the reality is the IWF may not have been able to do anything about that because if it was a situation where a country paid other people to vote in a certain favor, you can't stop that. But they could have set it up where there is no vote. It's just scientific, the scientific board comes out, here's what it is. ION says, no, these are the weight classes. I don't know. I mean, and to be fair, I guess that is probably more a case of just the wrong people in the sport, right?
The phrase scientific board for people to do averages. Because that science was involved in deciding that the women's weight classes should go 45, 49, 55, 59. So to have these asymmetric, just these bigger to smaller to bigger to smaller increases. I
don't think you understand.
Smaller increases, then bigger increases, then biggest increases.
I don't think you understand the importance of having a scientific board, right? If you have the most complicated sport, the most complicated qualification system in the world, you need somebody to understand that. So you need a scientific board. You're gonna need some kind of accounting, logistical, Roby points management. Like a Roby Points National or Federal Reserve for Roby Points. Robyologist. They bring them in. There's an interest rate on the Roby Points as they go up every year. So scientific board is necessary for this
an Alan Greenspan of Roby Points.
The Alan Greenspan of Roby Points. When you look at US people and they have Robies that are right around 700 to 800 the top. And then you look and there's Roby Points 1100, 1200 for the record holders. It's very demoralizing, You're oh, fuck. This guy's got a shitload of Roby Points. If he cashes those in for that fucking big stuffed tow truck gorilla toy at the arcade, maybe that's what they'll have at the Olympics. A Roby powered arcade.
Yeah, we're going to forego the medals this year, guys. But you could trade in those Roby Points for that sweet Nerf gun.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't USAW, there was just something USAW was going, kind of going after the IWF.
For the clean thing. The clean sport thing. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was. Phil, it was something about giving the countries that have a historical record of being clean more voting power, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
And so
I do think
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, the punishment as far as those countries not getting as many Olympic spots, that's good. That's good.
That's a good thing.
Giving those countries less voting power could have avoided this alleged Qatar situation, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, what we don't know with the number of spots reduction thing is how it all relates to this fucking qualification system.
Right.
Because in Alyssa's class, Alyssa's 11th.
Yeah.
But there's 2 China and 2 Thailand.
Right.
So do only one of them count because you can only take one per country per class maximum? If China decides not to take any of their 49s, then do both of them get taken out of the rankings?
Right.
And,
Well, that's the question, right?
yeah. The
Is
question that no one seems to have the answer
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, and I have never heard a definitive answer anywhere to the sense, to really state that, like, hey, this is exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, taking them both out, you'd have to know who they were sending, and
Yeah.
you won't know that until the fucking technical meeting, basically at the Olympics, or maybe, I guess, the entry, right? You're going to have an alternate.
I wonder though if, because of that, because if they don't take them out of the rankings, then in that case, their continental championship stuff aside, there would only be 6 girls, 6
Yeah.
women eligible in the 49 kilo class because you have
Yeah.
to be top 8.
Right.
But 2 of the top 8 aren't eligible because they're the second people in their countries.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's a very, I mean, it's a mystery. It's a
Yeah.
quagmire. The quagmire of qualifying.
I mean, resetting the weight classes, good.
Yeah.
To reset the records, that's great. New Olympic qualification system that punishes countries with historical doping issues, good.
Yeah.
The actual implementation of both of those, terrible.
Very bad.
And that's the story of
Weightlifting.
international governing bodies. There was a decision to make and they made the wrong one.
Yeah. Standard. This is a standard operation.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of...
What's the shittiest choice we can make? Let's do that.
That's why I've become reticent to even give advice, like give our own suggestions on these things, because
They're not taking it, right?
Yeah, I'm convinced that they'll be like, oh no, we can't do what those Juggernaut guys say. So we've steered. So we need to start saying all the bad options, so they're only left with good options.
It's not a bad idea. All right, so
IPF got its fair share of
yeah,
issues this year.
that was fucking terrible.
My homie Robert Wilkes, the Sperry hater.
Oh yeah, he had a big thing against your non-athletic, non-sportswear.
Marissa was telling me that there's more specific language.
They changed it.
Yeah,
They specifically say no water sports apparel.
it does say something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I gotta look up the exact wording because it's clearly the CWS rule. But yeah, between Powerlifting Australia trying to sue the IPF or whatever they were doing, then getting kicked out, then him starting their own federation, then the USAPL shit with the drug testing,
Right?
the stuff Kim Walford getting
Yeah.
suspended, that was total bullshit. There was a lot of...
They suspended her because she participated in a different meet, or what was
No.
the actual reason for suspension?
There was a 10 itemized list in an email that she showed me. I don't remember all of them, but most of them were, it wasn't doping, it wasn't anything like that.
Sure.
It was like, I mean, one of the specific items said sharing a podcast, a slanderous podcast about the USAPL. I wonder what podcast that was.
It should have said a slanderous 5-star podcast.
But yeah, it was pretty much all like conduct related stuff, and basically we don't want you here, so
God.
we're just gonna
So-
make up things until you can't be here.
In both sports, it's two sports that are it's so unnecessary to even have any kind of governing body outside of administrative stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you have some administrators, people that can organize events, that's all you need. everything is already, the rules are written down. Here's how you qualify, numbers, percentages, boom, 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 straightforward. But it's like both these sports.
Well, in the organizing events, Worlds.
Yeah.
We were there in Canada.
Yeah.
The Canadian guy set up that sweet setup in the
volleyball center.
Yeah, in half of a volleyball center. Well, 14-year-olds were practicing.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's the thing where it's like.
I think that was a side out, eh?
Side out. That's the kind of thing where it's like.
We should have shown up over on that side with some
short shorts.
Yeah, some cut off jean shorts, aviator sunglasses,
sick mullets.
You guys ready to play?
I'm from Calgary. That'd have been fucking cool. Yeah.
How about first to 11, then losing hosers have to buy maple syrup for everyone.
For a week.
Yeah.
That's 2 gallons.
But yeah, it's not like they have some fucking event committee that set up that.
But I mean, even like all that stuff aside, right? The whole organization could be simplified. It could be both sports. So the fact that there's just these like people with these jobs and these boards and all this stuff, it just gets bigger and bigger. And then I'm assuming they just have nothing else to do with their lives. That they start to create these fucking problems and have issues with people and like this and that. Like there's so many ways to avoid that kind of shit by just nixing people that are, if you've got athletes or if there's a conflict of interest some point, like this person's gonna break your records, you're off. You can't be there. Because clearly you have some vested interest in the situation, right? Yeah. Not saying that someone there is gonna lose his records, but you know, it's just stupid.
And the whole voting structure stuff and the terms and
the voting thing is awesome. I didn't know about this.
It's a non-profit, but is it really the tax record stuff? Yeah. And I mean that stuff's not the story. We've talked plenty about that before, but it is a system that seems to lend itself to corruption. I mean, I don't know how long Gaston has been in charge at the IPF, and the way that these executive committee meetings are at like Tuesday night at Equipped Nationals for USAPL. When no one is there.
Equipped Nationals has been in a city that doesn't have flights in, like the 3 days before for the last 15 years or something.
Yeah.
Every time I hear the name Gaston too, I just think about the Beauty and the Beast cartoon. I always think that's exactly how he looks, but I'm pretty sure that's not accurate.
I'd say the exact opposite of how he looks. There's no way that Gaston from Beauty and the Beast was passing a WADA level drug test.
No. He was taking a lot of tren. Yeah. For sure. He was fucking jacked.
He was.
But the Beast, I mean, what the fuck was he doing?
That's more of a gene doping thing, though. I don't think they have a way to test for that.
That's true. But then what was fucking Candlestick and all that shit going on? That's like more gene. That's more gene doping.
Sorry, a DMT, LSD. I gotta get Joe Rogan on to figure that out. But yeah, the stuff. And we commended the USAPL on the drug testing side of things, but but there's definitely.
It's petty. It's just petty shit, It's like, unless someone's violated the spirit of the rules by cheating, by, circumventing the actual process in a way that's clearly devious.
Reach around.
Yeah, the old reach around and grab your medal or your spot in the team some way. Like, then like what? You're just using these code of conduct things to really enforce your will on them.
And the stuff that happened this year for USAPL, IPF, maybe it didn't manifest itself in really significant changes, but it did maybe lay a groundwork for 2019 and 2020. If this drug testing thing with the USAPL doesn't get sorted out, like rightfully so, the USAPL shouldn't back down on that.
That's true. Yeah.
They're trying to test more people and catch more people, and that's the whole spirit of the thing. Are they going about it by the letter of the law? I guess not, but I don't think that there's necessarily corruption in it. It maybe could open itself up to that.
Yeah, I don't see how the IPF can tell the USAPL who they can and cannot allow in their competitions, right? If you fail somebody, you do a test, you fail someone, they're banned from your federation.
Yeah.
Right? Because the IPF, and I obviously don't know enough to have this opinion, but I'm going to anyways. The IPF,
How American of you.
how are they able to control what the USAPL does within its own under its own governing body, right? We just send to the IPF our own lifters. We say them, here we're going to Worlds, this is the team, right? None of them have violated your rules, right? Because you could say, well, they violated our rules. I mean, there's rules that are slightly different in the USAPL, I'm sure, than the IPF, right? There's probably some small difference in conduct or whatever, or, maybe in some Muslim country in that federation, you're not allowed to have alcohol at the venue, right? So people have alcohol here. It's like, so the question is like, if there's subtle violations like that, then how can you say you're not kicking these people out or not saying, hey, that guy's not booted out,
Yeah.
I mean, it's bigger than that, obviously, but definitely like one of those things that's like, it's just another standard giant crappy organization making bad choices.
It can definitely be a big thing for powerlifting if the pushback continues.
Yeah.
And the Wilkes stuff and PA, I probably have a biased opinion against that since he tried to get me kicked out for my shoes. And so many of the Australian people I know, going over to compete in Pro Raw and all that kind of stuff, they make it sound like Wilkes was doing all the same shit in PA that he's accusing the IPF of doing.
Oh, really?
But just now that there's people, whether it's Robert Wilkes or whether even it's the USAPL now with the drug testing stuff, who are willing to push back against the IPF.
Yeah.
And as there's backlash about the equipment fees and all this shit, then maybe, not right now, but it's a change could be coming for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Regardless of the politics of that stuff, I mean, when we were at Worlds this year, the results were phenomenal.
Yeah.
From the nationals results, like just when did you do your first powerlifting meet? What year?
2011, 10 or 11.
And what was the squat we were talking about from the 59 guy?
560.
I mean, were there multiply guys squatting 560 at?
Not the first meet I did.
At 132?
I squatted 600 and I beat a couple multiply guys.
Yeah, I mean the level that the powerlifting results have continued to go.
It's unreal.
It was crazy. I got looking on Open Powerlifting last night. And prior to 2018, there had been 19 total 600 plus Wilks in the history of the sport.
Oh, the entire history.
In the entire history of the sport, 19 600 plus Wilks. And 14 of those had been done by 3 people. Gus Bayar, Mariana Gus Bayar, Eric Lillibridge, and Andrei Malanichev had 14 of those 19. This year, 17 different people made 25 total 600 plus Wilks.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane to think that explosion of lifting. That's huge.
Yeah, there's twice as many people, over twice as many people as had ever done 600 Wilks before.
Yeah.
Did that. And they, more than in the previous.
6 times as many people doing it too, right? There's 3 that did most of them, or I guess more than that.
Well, there's 3 that had done 14 of the 19.
Right.
But there was 8 total people who had done those 19.
Right.
And this year there were 17 people who did 25.
Jeez.
9 guys who squatted 455 or more, which it wasn't It was
9,000 pound squats.
yeah. I was at the 2011 SPF Ironman Pro-Am Days in Ballroom C at Knoxville, Tennessee.
There you go.
Where Robert Wilkerson, in March 2011, became
Yeah.
the first person to squat 1,000 raw.
Yeah.
I mean, that's under 455 kilos, but
Yeah.
so it was only 7 years ago that it was the first time it had happened, and then Milanichev did 1,014 in like 2014.
Right.
He did 1,014, and that was the first time. That was when the 2369 total record got broken. Like 10 people have done over that total now.
That's insane. The question then becomes like, what's it going to look like in a couple of years? You got 30 people doing 60, 40 people doing those Wilks like that.
Yeah,
That's
so it was
big.
9 guys squatted 455 plus, 37 guys 272 plus kilo bench, 600 plus bench. 17 men did over 400 kilo deadlift.
17 guys pulled 400 or more.
17 different guys.
That's really big.
And 55 guys did over 1,000 kilo total,
I remember.
including Luke Richardson, who was the youngest ever to do 1,000 kilos
How
and
old
did
is
it
he?
in sleeves and in the IPF. I think he's 21 or 22.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shit. I remember first seeing results for the number of 900-pound deadlifters. And I remember back 8 years ago, it was about like 12 or 13
Ever, yeah.
had done it. And now it's like, you got how many guys pulling 400?
17 different ones this year.
I mean, that's ridiculous in 1 year. Holy shit. Yeah, well, that's an explosion. I wonder how obvious that is. I mean, you can tell it's going up. It's huge. But it's funny because I wouldn't say in this year there was any one particular performance. Like last year, there was huge people coming out that did numbers that were out of this world. And now it seems like the average has just climbed up.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the quality of lifting is just escalating this year. So I guess next year we'll see, right?
Yeah.
Potentially giant numbers might spring out of that, or
Yeah,
Guess
I
we'll
mean,
see.
maybe it's kind of like what we were talking about before.
yeah,
It's people getting caught up in the momentum of training,
Yeah.
and it can't quite translate to the competition. But when you have the Amanda Lawrences of the world and Larry
Sure.
Wheels and stuff, and it's like every single week you just PR,
big
PR,
numbers.
PR.
Yeah,
It's only, and on the women's side, like in the IPF, where I still think the best women's lifting
yeah, absolutely.
happens in the IPF. CC Holcomb, Gus Bayara, Steffi Cohen, Stacy Burr.
Yeah,
There are a couple of the untested women who even stay untested but follow the same
sure.
the rest of the USAPL rules. 3 CC for sure is just ridiculous, but
Yeah.
the other ones, I think they'd really have their hands full
Yeah,
lifting in that format. So the first, Jen Thompson was the first woman ever to make a 500 Wilks, and that was
Holy
like
shit, really?
2011.
wow.
Maybe the first 500 in USAPL IPF.
Yeah,
And that happened in like 2011. And this year, I mean, granted, Marissa didn't have like her best meet at nationals, but she still made like a 520 Wilks, and it was 7th highest, something like that, 6th or 7th highest.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
And-
so ridiculous.
and it's-
that level of lifting is just so absurd. How quickly it's come up.
Yeah, and it's happening by 21-year-olds and 22-year-olds, and
It makes you wonder where the limit of the strength, like the limit of people's potential is with that sport. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously they're going to be, it's more than it is now, but the question becomes like, where is that going to go? Are we going to start seeing like, is there going to be someone with 700 Wilks? I mean, it seems unreal, but I guess you're not seeing that in untested, so potentially not, but maybe it's just not the right person, right? you get the fucking freakiest human being that's ever tried powerlifting. And
Well, it's like we were talking about an Ed Cohen for every weight class.
right.
You know, that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ed's,
Cece Holcomb is 22 or 23 years old.
God,
She might only be 21.
that's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
21 years old.
Yeah, she's definitely somewhere in the 21 to 23 years old. And
That is just outrageously strong.
I think she did like a 640 something Wilks.
That was like Cohen's is probably only about 650, I'm guessing.
Yeah, 650, 660.
Something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fucking up there.
But I also, I mean, Wilks is getting so many shout outs in this, but
That's true.
the IPF is doing away with Wilks.
They're going to Robies. They're
The
moving to Robies.
Rubies.
Rubies.
It's how many rubies you bring to the judges, and that's how you
That's
win.
how the points you get.
Yeah.
How great would it be if they came out with Roby points and they just said, we're adopting this system?
Yeah.
No one actually knew how good they were because it's impossible to figure it out.
I don't know if they're going to do some kind of allometric scaling.
Who will it be named after is the real question.
Yeah,
Who's the scientist, mathematician, wizard that's created the ultimate way to compare will it compare, it'll compare both genders, but this one will it will compare men, women, anyone who lifts weights, and other species. Dogs. If a dog pulls a sled, certain speed, you can calculate that somehow. It's the ultimate comparison.
Interspecies, that is. And, I mean, gorillas have never even done...
We would lose.
They've never even done starting strength, so how strong could they actually be?
They would probably be good at deadlifting. They have such fucking long arms.
I think, yeah.
Killing the deadlift, probably squat a shitload because of their legs, the short legs. But bench pressing, they got such fucking big ass arms. So
yeah, Ed Cohen was just
Ed Cohen was a gorilla.
Yeah, shaved albino gorilla.
It was a gorilla wearing a man suit. That's what it was. Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, I think it was another good, interesting year of lifting.
Yeah, big numbers. Everything's coming up.
Do you have any big predictions for 2019?
2019? I think 2019 is going to be a really interesting year for weightlifting. I think it'll be a really definitive. I really hope that in 1 year's time, we're not sitting here talking about weightlifting being expunged from the Olympics program. So that would be my biggest fear, not necessarily prediction, because I don't think it'll happen, but the potential for that, if the other countries just don't get their shit together, or if the IWF gets their shit together and says, hey, you're just done. You're out. Right? You couldn't play by the rules forever. We gave you plenty of chances, and it's just a different breed of people now. It's a different generation. They don't want this.
Yeah. We will know a lot more for sure by this time next year. I mean,
we could be sitting here talking about Ilya Ilin doing a 255 clean and jerk.
We could be.
As a 109. I mean, that'd be cool, but it would also suck because it's kind of like signing the death note of weightlifting.
Yeah, because we talked about how much the Russian results were down.
Yeah.
And 6 months ago, if you had asked me, I would have said they just refused to follow the rules. But at least this year's Worlds, they seem to follow them. But as the Olympics get closer, maybe that...
I think they're trying to play a game because there was at the Worlds, there was a lifter who made a lift that seemingly was good, and the Russian president of the federation, I believe, or the head coach, didn't even contest to the jury. And Klokov made a big post about it the other day about what's this? You're not even supporting the athletes kind of. And I think that may just be their sort of submissive, we're just going to play by the rules, don't kick us out,
Uh-huh.
And that may just be their, the plan is to do that so we can get back in, and then we're going to, then once we're in, it's like, hey, let's, where's the good stuff?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
The day they walk into the competition hall in Tokyo, and you just hear the guy shout, "Let's burn this mother down!"
In Russian.
Yeah, and then they just start injecting. And
the coach will open a duffel bag, just 300 vials and syringes, just throwing them in the air like confetti.
Yeah.
It'll be like the scene in the Tim Burton Batman where the Joker's throwing money out of the car as the coach is just driving through on a golf cart. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure, first 1,000-pound squat, 900-pound deadlift combo happens.
Didn't that just happen?
No, he didn't.
Oh, no, he didn't do
He didn't squat
1,000.
1,000.
Right.
Yeah. And there's been so many times where people were like, "Oh,
Close.
it's right there."
Right.
You know, who is the first to do it? We'll see. I mean, there's been guys who are capable
Absolutely.
of doing it. You know, if Milanichev could be healthy, he can probably be the first to do it. Brandon could do it.
Yeah.
Eric Lillibridge could do it.
Brandon actually would be, to see Brandon do that would be pretty cool.
You know,
He's as close as anyone else.
yeah. Well,
The squat maybe.
he's done the squat, but he hasn't held on to the deadlift all the way to the top. But I would think, and maybe this is the same thing of
Yeah.
I would think it would be whoever has the first attempt at a 900-pound deadlift at the U.S. Open could be the person to do it.
True.
You know, because they could have already squatted 1,000, so
Right.
they can pull. If you get the right lot number and you're pulling
Yeah,
903 before someone else is trying 903, then you get to be
What do you
the
think?
first one.
I wonder if Thor cares about that kind of thing. I'd really be curious to see what Thor's opinion is of this whole thing after he's done it. I mean, not from a standpoint of like, what do you think of powerlifting, but like, does he have any interest in trying again to set some kind of record for history, or?
I would think. I mean, not that I've ever met the guy, but you don't become that incredibly strong and successful in your field without being hugely competitive.
Yeah.
And he probably right now thinks I could have done better.
Yeah.
You know? And he could have done better. Like the squat looked good. I was surprised.
I can't. Yeah, that was.
I was surprised that 460 didn't count. I guess I'm glad in some way that they're being very strict, because it would have been, at the Thor Power Weekend, an easy thing to just give Thor whites. But they didn't do that, so I commend them on that for sure. But as a competitor, he's got to be feeling right now like I could do more.
I could see that. Yeah.
And
Well, the question is, what does he do about it?
yeah,
Does he care enough to one more meet?
yeah, it's not what's paying his bills.
No.
And he's got to fit it around the Strongman schedule. But next October, Big Dogs 4,
That'd be kind of cool.
he could be there going for it and setting a new total world record. But yeah, I think that'll happen this year for sure.
Yeah.
I think some of these these different kind of landmark weights for women's powerlifting.
Yeah.
Like 600-pound squats. Amanda Lawrence definitely looks like she's going to be joining that club, if not at the Arnold at next year's Nationals.
Yeah.
And as many people on Instagram want to be like, oh, she's the best female lifter, in the world. She's the strongest woman in the world, kind of thing. Like, and not to take anything away from her, she's amazing.
Yeah.
But like, Nationals wasn't that long ago, and she didn't win.
That's true.
And Danielle Melo's the same age, or they're 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
So the class of women's lifting is just going to keep rising. I think you're going to have more girls squatting 500 plus, deadlifting 500 plus, benching in the threes. And weightlifting, this will be
Same thing, basically. You got 7 girls all fighting for that potential spot at the Olympics. It's going to it'll either drive results way up for all of them, which would be the best case, or, 1 or 2 of them will excel from that competition and kind of take it and run with it. But I mean,
Yeah, I mean, definitely at this point next year, we'll know at least 2 female Olympians almost certainly.
For sure.
Because they'll have been through probably 5 of their 6 needed IWF level meets.
Yeah.
Like it'll just be that log jam of girls fighting for the spot at 76.
Yeah.
Who are still battling it out down to the last meet.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be interesting for sure. I mean, it's gonna be one of those years of really tight, aggressive competition on both sports, where I don't think you're going to have one person or a couple like single person rise up out of it like we saw like in the last year or so, like where like Milanichev's was so dominant, then a bunch of guys catch up to him, kind of. And then same thing now, right? Everyone's kind of even. There's some dominant people, but you know, we'll see some great competition rise. We have a bunch of people catch up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very impressive.
Lifting.
Big, yeah.
What a thing. Any Max Ada squat predictions for 2020? 2019?
Probably not
We should
much.
take 2019 off, skip to 2020.
Take a year deload for 2019, come back 2020, super compensate. No one's ever tried that. The deload super hard and huge results.
It's a possibility.
I've seen graphs and charts, but I've never seen a chart that goes down that far. Complete bedridden. I'll be bedridden for all of 2019 in order to facilitate this incredible super compensation.